Good morning. This is the third week of our series about the head-heart connection. That our faith asks us to make decisions about who we will be and how we will live our lives. These decisions aren't just intellectual, but they're formed in our hearts as well. 2 weeks ago, we looked at the decision we all need to make about following Jesus. To really follow him, we must believe that he is Lord not only in our heads, but in our hearts as well. Last week, we looked at the Christian call to serve, especially those who can do nothing for us in return. God calls us to greatness by serving others in our daily lives here in our church family. Today we look at another head-heart choice, choosing to think big or think small, to live generously or to live with envy. Generous people celebrate others' victories. Generous people promote others' good ideas. Generous people find joy in others' joys. Envy, on the other hand, does not. It does exactly the opposite. Envy resents another person's achievements or possessions. Envy is one of the 7 deadly sins, a sin which gives rise to every other form of sin. And St. Thomas Aquinas wrote that envy is the worst of the deadly sins because, unlike the others, it can never offer us any pleasure. It is self-imposed sadness in the face of another's joy. But envy makes an appearance in today's gospel. We heard at that time John said to Jesus, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us." Many people never consider the existence of demons, but their hearts may sense otherwise. When someone is suffering with anxiety or depression, paranoia, bipolar disorders, anger, addiction, we often say that they're wrestling with their demons. Perhaps you've had the experience of an otherwise reasonable, ordinary person acting out in self-destructive and hurtful ways. Or you might remember when you've gotten unwarrantedly angry or upset. It was almost like something or someone else was provoking you to overreact. Our Christian faith says that there are evil spirits, what Scripture calls demons, who create all manner of disruption. We can all agree that there is disruption in our world. Wait, John witnessed just such a disruption, as well as someone who is handling it positively and effectively. How does John respond? By being supportive or encouraging? No. He tries to prevent the good work from happening. And Scripture describes, at that time, John said to Jesus, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us." Because he does not follow us. He's not on our team. He doesn't have proper authorization. Sounds like a plausible explanation, except that it's a lie. It's not the real reason at all. The real reason is that he's envious. And remember, this is John, Jesus' beloved disciple, and he's full of envy. In another place in Mark's gospel, we learn that at another occasion, some of Jesus' disciples tried to cast out demons, and they couldn't do it. They tried, and they failed. John and the others are envious that this guy is successfully doing what they themselves, at least on that day, couldn't do. The sin of envy affects all of us. Maybe you've been guilty of shutting down a good idea because it wasn't your idea, or blocking another from achieving some goal because you could never achieve that goal yourself, or criticizing someone else's marriage because it appears happier than yours. Envy can strike at home, at work, in school, and just about everywhere. And tragically, envy only tears down. It cannot build up. Envy only divides, and it cannot unite. Envy brings only sorrow and sadness, cannot bring joy. And it is especially ungodly. Jesus shows us over and over that God has a very generous spirit. Jesus replied, "Do not prevent him. There is no one who performs a mighty deed in my name who at the same time can speak ill of me. For whoever is not against us is for us." Jesus tells John to stop getting in the way of good work. Look what he promises in return. Anyone who gives you a cup of water to drink because you belong to Christ, amen, will surely not lose his reward. When we hold on to envy, it is self-imposed sadness. It's an ungenerous response that impoverishes us, our life. On the other hand, God promises to reward disproportionately those who choose generous responses to others around them. Even simple kindness, hardly worth acknowledging, brings rewards. In our heads and our hearts, we know that envy is destructive, and that it makes more sense to celebrate the good things that happen to others, the good things that others do. It makes a lot more sense. Just think about it. If I celebrate only when I win, if I celebrate only my wins, then I can be happy only some of the time. At best, only when good things happen to me. However, if I can learn to have a more generous spirit, then my capacity for happiness and joy expands exponentially from just some of the time to most of the time, and potentially all of the time. So how do we bring our head and our heart into alignment when it comes to envy? First, acknowledge the envy in your heart. Envy is so ugly we tend to disguise it. Maybe we call it constructive criticism. If someone else's success is hurting your heart, name it and take it to prayer, or even to confession. Secondly, fake it until you make it. When you're envious of someone else, start making it your habit to go out of your way to praise them. Celebrate the good things going on in their lives. Write them a note of congratulations. And thirdly, use envy to fuel change and growth. Envy isn't so much a choice as it's a reaction. Like anger, it just happens, and it happens to everyone. But like anger, the choice is, what do we do with it? And that's when it becomes a problem, when it grows. But we can use it as a positive force to fuel growth and change when we act with generosity. Maybe my envy at her marriage springs from my own beautiful desire for a great marriage and can inspire me to work harder at mine. Maybe my envy at the health of their family or the success of their business is rooted in my own high aspirations and can be motivational moving forward. It's a question of using envy to form a generous response. And that's just a better, wiser, more effective, ultimately more successful way to live.